how can we affect change if we are not able to control our own county?
If we all swept our own porch, the world would be a cleaner place. But we as a community need to empower each other to put aside those boxes, to put aside those labels that the algorithm wants to say this and this, and I think you're going to like that and this and that and this, and draw a line in the sand and say we're Team Henry County.
Welcome to Word. This is the first in our basement sessions, and I'm glad and happy to have my friend Jonathan Lodge here. And we're going to jump right into it because I know that he's itching to let the world know who he is, and I'm itching to hear more about him. So, Jonathan, tell me who you are without telling me what you do.
Sure. First of all, thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm very honored that I'm in this room with this amazing group of people and the team that you've put together. This is very impressive. So thank you.
It is now that you're here.
That's right. To sum up who I am, I am not my ideas. I am not the exterior that you see.
Mm-hmm.
I am what I do. That's what defines me. What I do. Not what I do for a living, but how I'm actionable. That's how I define myself.
Mm-hmm.
So first and foremost, I'm a Christian. I try to be anyways. It's one of the hardest things that I've ever attempted to do.
Have to walk that walk.
Yeah.
And you're doing an excellent job, by the way.
Well, I try. I'm a husband. That's of going on 16 years.
That's good.
So
congratulations.
My wife is Chelsea Lodge. She's an artist. She does all the murals around town and works her tail off. I'm a father to 3 beautiful children, Cabot and Fern and Rosie, 7, 9, and 12. Cabot just turned 12 on April Fool's. He's an April Fool's baby. I'm a son to Mary and Arthur Lodge. I'm a friend to a lot of people. That's how I define myself, is what I do. I'm actionable. When I put my mind to something and I say I'm going to do something, you can bet your farm that that's what I'm going to do. So that's how I look at myself. And that is sometimes a good thing. Sometimes it's a terrible thing because I'm my greatest ally and my greatest enemy.
Yeah.
And I can hold both of those roles.
Yeah.
So I'm very aware, very self-aware.
Yeah.
Of my limitations.
You led right off in describing yourself first and foremost as a Christian.
Yeah.
Would you describe yourself growing up to be that same person? Because your father, Arthur, was a pastor, a minister.
Yes.
And you've just recently come to be a Christian.
I came back to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what was it like growing up under Arthur Lodge? I'm speculating in my mind what it would be like, but
so it wasn't just my dad. It was all of my uncles, my cousins.
I didn't know that.
All ministers.
Oh, wow.
All ministers. So there's
from every angle you got it.
From every angle. Or politicians. So there's an old saying in Boston that says, Boston, Boston, the city of bean and cod, where the Cabots only talk to the Lodges and the Lodges only talk to God. And that's a very old saying because the Cabots and the Lodge, so my son's name is Cabot. The Cabots and the Lodges have been either religious leaders or political leaders. So Henry Cabot Lodge is a cousin of mine that ran with Richard Nixon. I have cousins that are in different political offices currently. So we have always been a family that has spoke truth to power.
That right there, just as you just told something really interesting that I wasn't fully aware of. I knew that your family was from the north and y'all moved down
in 91.
In 91.
I was 4 when we moved to Henry County.
Which is why you don't sound
right. Yeah.
like you're from.
Don't worry, my children do. So, so my dad took a church here. When you are a minister's child, you, from an early age, realize that you are that second family. So it is a very demanding job. I couldn't do it. I've known, and I'm friends with a lot of ministers. It's a very demanding job. Christ tells us that this would be the case. Paul tells us in the epistles that this would be the case. There's a reason why there's certain specifications that are required to provide leadership in that capability.
You're saying that with a lot of absolute right now.
Sure.
What did that feel like at 4 years old though?
Sometimes Dad would, on Christmas morning, because a parishioner passed away or was in a car accident or whatever. It was, growing up in it, you don't realize that it's so demanding. You don't, you're at the church a lot. You're setting up the tables. You're doing all of these things. A quick, funny anecdote. Mary Hal McIntosh, from the McIntoshes that started the bank here in town.
Yeah.
She had bought china that had Tiffany plates that had gold inlay that said First Presbyterian Church and had a picture of the church written in gold.
That sounds awesome.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So my father had asked me, we had folding tables that folded into the wall in our fellowship hall. And he had asked me one day, and he said, of course, I was always the guy, the ring bearer, the pallbearer, or whatever. If they couldn't fill spots, I was, from a very early age, I was very involved. And so he said, hey, we're having a fellowship dinner. Get the good plates out, set the tables down, lock them, put the tablecloths on, get the plates, set them on the edge, get the silverware, do all this. So I did everything, with the exception of one thing. And he came out into the fellowship hall. He was in his office. It was just us in the church. And he said, this looks great. You did it all. Yeah. And I said, yeah. And I leaned against the table that I did not lock, and it swept into the wall, and 200 plates hit the ground. And every single one of those plates broke.
Oh, no.
So at 11 years old, I think I ran to the back door, and I thought, well, I'm just going to join the circus, and this will be my new life.
Yeah.
And he looked at me and he said, don't run, son. And
don't run because...
Don't run. Yeah. And so he collected himself. He was very upset, as he should be.
Yeah.
Because I broke 200 gold inlaid Tiffany plates. And he said, when he came back, he had to take a breath so he didn't murder me.
Yeah.
And he came back and he said, you're going to mow the grass for this long for the church. You're going to do all of these things, right?
You're still doing it, right?
To repay this debt. And when Miss Mary Haugen, you're going to clean up all of this. You're going to put it in boxes so we don't rip the bags and all that. He had this plan. But when Miss Mary Howe comes to this church, you're going to let her know what you did. So Miss Mary Howe was a beautiful angel of a woman. And she walked into the church, and it was heavy on my heart. And I started to cry even before I could get the words out. And I went up to her and I said, Miss Mary Howe, I'm sorry. And I told her what I did. And I'll never forget it, because she did the Christian thing. And she forgave me instantly on the spot. And in fact, she didn't just forgive me. She pulled me in and she hugged me. And she had a long Southern drawl. And she said, now, Jonathan, she said, you don't worry about these plates. We can buy more plates. And she marched over to my dad.
Yeah.
Marched. She said, Arthur, because that's what she called him. Arthur, we're going to buy more plates. This boy made an honest mistake. And he looked at me and thought, what did this kid tell her? I was honest.
Yeah.
So I grew up in that environment, and I very much, and I still do to this day, love that family, because that was in a way, my dad's first family, were the people that he was serving. And I'd say that with no resentment in my heart. It was such a beautiful thing to see someone commit their life to something beyond their own needs, beyond their own position. And he very much did that. And so seeing that and being around someone committed to a idea to institution, to decorum, to something beyond themselves was impactful.
Yeah.
It shaped the way I looked at the world. It shapes the way I look at the world today. And my ideas may change. I'm not the same person I was when I was 20. But that will probably never change, is that you commit yourself to something beyond yourself that has nothing to do with you as a person, but you become a part of a greater whole. So that was very impactful to see my dad bury his friends.
Yeah.
That was
I've
hard.
always wondered about that. Pastor.
Of course.
Oh my gosh.
To see my dad have to counsel his friends that were going through divorce or who lost loved ones or who were going through the most challenging, difficult times in their life, to see him step up, sometimes powerlessly. Sometimes he couldn't stop the divorces, or he knew this person was going to die and there was nothing that could happen. And he had to be the leader. And he had to swallow his commitment to Bryant Williams or whoever it was. He was involved in Henry County politics. When we moved here in 91, this was all Democrat. He was one of maybe 7 or 8 Republicans. Your dad was another, Larry. And they would meet at the Pizza Hut. That it's a sushi restaurant now. And they would, and there would just be 8 of them.
Yeah.
And so from a very young age, it was a commitment to ideals of your ideas may change, but your ideals are going to be what's best for the community. How do we be good stewards of our monies? How do we lessen the impact of governments, which get larger and larger and corrupt because it's an institution like everything else? How do we limit the scope of those things while encouraging the God-given freedoms that we have?
When you were growing up, you probably went through a rebellious time.
Of course. This is when I left God. So when you were asking earlier, so you've come back. I got really so I went to college to study philosophy, and
did you start realizing you were smarter than Arthur?
Of course. I spent a good way to put this is I spent the first half of my life trying to be anything other than my father.
Yeah.
And I've spent the second half of my life trying to be my father.
Yeah.
And that's, I'll never live up to that. But it's a great goal.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful goal because I look back at those rebellious times in my life when I thought I was smarter, not just Arthur, but God. I thought I was smarter than God, that I was God. And ultimately, that's the decision that we make. Are you God? Are you going to make God into whatever in your head God is? Or are you going to bend your knee to his will and recognize God for who God is and what God is not?
Word.
God is the Word.
God is the
Word. The Word is not a book of 66 or 88 or however many that are in there. That's not the Word. That is, in fact, Christ tells us, he says, you look into the scriptures, and I'm paraphrasing Matthew, you look into the scriptures, but it's the scriptures that talk about me. So the Word is a living thing, not a thing, but actually a person. It's the second Godhead of the Trinity.
You are so passionate now about Christ and about religion, and you talk about trying to be your dad again, but you're reaching for more.
Yeah, because he always pushed himself and he always pushed me. Always. There was, in business, in the corporate world, whatever I was doing in my life, he pushed me to see myself as better. And it was really, he wanted me to see with my eyes, to think for myself, to be better, to realize that I am a part of a greater whole. So the math doesn't work out when you look at it like that. The math, I'm 1 + 1 = 2. No. When you commit yourself to something beyond yourself, it becomes greater than the pieces that are involved. And how do you make up for that missing math? Well, it's God. God is the love that we share in our hearts.
That's the idea of 1 + 1 = 3.
Exactly. 100%. And so this is an ancient problem throughout all civilization. Every single civilization has asked the same question, and I don't want to get into the weeds of it, but this question I've thought about for the past 30 years, probably. It is, there is the idea of chair, and then there is many. There are many chairs.
Yeah.
So if I destroy all of the chairs, does the concept of chair still exist? How do we justify the idea of chairs, with the many, with the physical chairs that exist?
Yeah.
How does that happen? The only way that happens is through a person. That is that untouchable, apophatic thing that is beyond ourselves, that became one of us so that we could become like him.
Mm-hmm.
He became one of us so that we could be like him. So he bridges that gap between the one and the many. Out of the, 3 million plus religious sects and religions, so I'm including sects and religions that exist, there is only one answer to that question, and it is Jesus Christ.
When that hits you, and it hits everybody different.
Sure.
When that hit you, what came over you? What did your life look like, and how did it spin, or how did it progress to what you're describing right now?
Well, that's something I'm getting better at sharing. I don't think that my testimony is important, and I think that is pride for me to think that.
I would say that's absolutely the wrong thing.
Exactly.
It's
my pride. There's pride. That's a drug we all partake in.
Sure.
And so
feel amazing.
I don't feel it's important.
Yeah. Because
but it is.
It is. It's amazing, and how it hit you. The reason I bring it up, because it hit me almost the same way. We talked about it briefly about that. Because I went through
that's right. We did.
Yeah, I went through a similar thing of rebelling and going away, and I took the 7-year college plan.
Yeah, me too.
And
still paying for it.
Yeah, doing all those sorts of things.
Right.
But when I came back, and with a purpose, with a feeling, with a reassurance, and it did feel a bit, you mentioned prideful or pride. It did feel like I was special.
Of course. Yeah.
And in a way that I had never felt before.
Of course. I mean, that's what the serpent told the first man and the woman. You're special.
Mm-hmm.
And you can be like God. You can be like God. And God, in his infinite beauty and depth and mercy, redeemed that lie and inverted it to truth and light, and said, you can be like me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to do that by becoming like you.
Mm-hmm.
So when John lowers Christ into the Jordan, it is not washing his sins away, but rather when he emerges, he is cloaked in ours.
Yeah.
He takes on the sins of the world in that process.
And was that the relief? Was that what you felt? I mean, what was it that you felt?
So, with pride, and we all, again, this is a drug that we all partake of, and it very much is a drug because it changes your brain chemistry, it changes your physicality, it changes your soul. It affects every part of you, your heart. I tried to control my life. I tried to control my life, my businesses, my marriage, my children, my relationships, my friendships. I tried to exert my will, how I saw and thought about love, or thought about God, or thought about any of this.
Mm-hmm.
And when you do that, you don't realize it. I didn't realize it at the time that I was leaving God.
How's that? When you were leaving God, how describe that?
It's a slow process of, again, imbuing your own will and placating it onto the world.
Mm.
And it's a slow process of justifying doing things that might not be honest with yourself and honest in your heart. It's rebellion. It's rebellion.
Is it hypocrisy?
Of course.
It's the hypocrisy that we
course.
hear being talked about why people don't participate in religion.
Of course. Or, I'm spiritual, I'm not religious. There's all these ways in which we come to that same realization, but it's the same question. And the question is, are you God or is God God? And most of the time, it's very easy to answer that you are God. And so with me personally, it was justifications. Hey, I'm trying to reach the greater good, let's say, whatever the greater good is. So I might do this, or I might do that, or I might think this way. You got to crack a few eggs to make an omelet. There's all these colloquial expressions that we have for justification to justify how we answer that question. Are you God or is God God? And God loves us so much, he makes us in his image, and he loves each and every one of us. If there's one message I could tell today, it was that God loves each and every one of us. But because he loves us so much, he will allow us to make those decisions. He allows that. Hey, you have will. You have free will like I have. This has been given to you. So you cannot choose me. That's fine. I'm not a jealous. I'm not going to force you to be in my presence. You have a choice. And so sometimes you don't realize that you're making that choice. You don't realize sometimes you think that you're on the fence. And that's somehow going to protect you. And I'm here to tell you the devil owns the fence. There is no sitting on the sidelines or agnosticism to life, rather. There is no agnosticism. So with me, it was this gradual fade away, kind of like the prodigal son,
right?
Where he, at first is cloaked in riches. And slowly, this didn't happen overnight. Slowly, he loses his wealth. He loses the inheritance that he was given. So I slowly lost my inheritance. And then you wake up one day and you're in a pigsty, like the prodigal son, begging for pig scraps.
Yeah.
And so, because if you allow yourself to push away from God and push into yourself, then you will inevitably look around and say, man, all of these things that I've tried to control are on fire.
Yeah.
And that was where I found myself. Yeah. I found my every aspect of my life. I ran over my dog with my 3 kids and my foster child in the van. I mean, it was, I ran my lawnmower into the pond. I mean, it was comical. The world was falling apart. And when you have the self-awareness and the self-respect to finally say and admit, like the prodigal son did, my world is falling apart. If I could just get the pig scraps that the least of the promise was given to, right? If I could just do that. So I had to make a decision. I had to make a choice. And I had to be very, very honest with myself. And part of that honesty is realizing that the love of God is not prosperity. It's peace.
There you go.
It's peace.
Word.
So as your world things can still be on fire, but you can have peace. It's how you deal with those fires. Someone asked me the other day, we were talking about county business, and they said, aren't you upset that this is happening? And I said, would it help? Would it help if I was upset?
You experienced, did everything quiet for you? Was it when you talk about where you were and how things were falling apart and running over the dog and
sure
and whatnot? I imagine, because I felt a similar way in that I describe it that I needed everything to stop. It seemed
still.
Like everything just, please stop spinning.
Correct.
I couldn't get things to stop spinning. And whenever I let go and turned and I could feel God's presence, it was just quiet.
And you don't want to let that go.
Yeah.
And you'll do anything once you experience that again. And that's mercy. Mercy is when God knows your heart better than you know it, and he gives you what you need. So your prayers aren't about getting a Lamborghini Countach or a big boat for the lake or whatever it is. Your prayers are, have mercy. You know what I need better than I know.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have, your heart's not bifurcated. You don't have room for hate and love.
That's amazing. That's something that comes up as a concept that it seems like it should be obvious that the two can exist in the same space.
They cannot.
But it's not obvious to people.
Right. You can't spend an hour every Sunday or two or however long it is and then get on Facebook and rip your neighbors apart over issues that you know nothing about.
Right.
Over people you'll never meet, politicians you'll never have a conversation with. Those two are mutually incompatible. You can't do that. And so, and we're warned. Christ warns us time and time again that this would happen. There will be tares in the wheat, right? That there will be people that will come in his name and he will say, I do not know you. And they say, well, we cast out demons and we performed miracles. And he'll say, I don't know you. Even though you're doing all the exterior, you're doing the exterior things, but in your heart,
that's where God can see.
Oh, of course. And sometimes you can't even see it.
Right.
So sometimes when you are lost, when you are that sheep, which Christ says, I'll leave the 99 to go for the one. When you are that sheep and you are lost, you sometimes don't see it. And sometimes you, in order to not see it, you numb yourself, whether it's with food or exercise or chasing women or alcohol or drugs or any number of vices that we can. I really like to mow my grass. I like to go into the woods. I like to, so
I'm really good at picking up sticks.
Right.
That's my thing.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm the master of picking up sticks.
Yeah, I can relate to that. I can completely relate. So there's ways in which we can hide from ourselves. And while everyone else looks at you and they say, there's a poem called Richard Cory. It's a very dark poem. And basically the summary is everyone sees Richard Cory and they see how great his life is and they see how beautiful his wife and all of these things. And Richard Cory goes home and puts a bullet in his brain. And it's a dark poem, but the point I'm making is the exterior that everyone else sees doesn't always meet the heart.
Yeah.
And so that's why there are serpents among us.
Yeah.
Where on the exterior, that's the guy or that's the lady or whatever. But in their heart, there's gnashing. There's gnashing of the teeth. There's
the heart.
Right.
And this, what you're talking about in hiding from God or hiding from Jesus. We're having a conversation with a pastor yesterday, actually. And I'm a firm believer that when I look at you, I'm looking at the face of God.
He tells us this. When you see your brother and sister, you see me. When you see the least amongst me, actually.
Absolutely. Yeah. And also that the light that goes into my eyes is the exact same light that goes into everybody else's eyes.
Correct. That is God, by the way.
That's God.
That is God.
And he framed something to me like this. God still sees through our eyes, even whenever we think we're hiding from him.
That's right.
So if we think that we're hiding something in the dark or in our loneliness, these are God's eyes or Jesus's eyes looking at these hands at what they're doing.
Absolutely. Remember in the garden, it wasn't Adam that called out, "Where are you, God?" It was God that called out to Adam.
Yeah.
"Where are you, Adam?"
Yeah.
So and it's a constant choice that we're making. It's a constant choice. It's an everyday choice. So the way I like to say it is Jesus Christ saved me. Jesus Christ is saving me, and Jesus Christ will save me.
Word.
It's a process, and it's a never-ending
process. Feel free
process.
to use that.
Word. Word.
I couldn't trademark it. I tried.
I think John in his in the opening of his gospel probably he holds the trademark.
He does.
So.
It's pretty much got it.
Well, so that was something that I realized. So in my personal testimony, my personal experience, when I finally had enough of myself and my own devices and my own interpretations and my own understandings, and which are all short-sighted and fallible, and they're small and they're novel and they're subjective. When I finally had enough of all of that, and you, like the prodigal son, are desperate. I'm desperate to eat the pig scraps from my father's house, right? I relented. And when you're desperate and you say, okay, I need to find that thing or person or apophatic description here, insert here. I need to find and reconnect because I've had real experiences in my life that broke the fabric of reality, synchronicities or what have you, that it's inexplicable. The pattern recognition, the where God peers through the blanket and he says, hey, I'm still here. I'm still here. And when I finally did that, he gave mercy and he gave me instantaneous peace. It's not like this for everyone, but for me in particular, I had this overwhelming transformation, this instantaneous peace. Now, the people around me couldn't see that.
Yeah.
Obviously.
What'd they see? To you, describe it?
No one would believe me. But I wasn't trying to convince anyone. I wasn't trying to convince my wife or my kids or my friends or my family or my mom, my dad, or any of these people that were around, my business partner, whatever. My goal was not to convince them.
But were you different?
In my heart.
In your heart.
And exterior, I did things differently. And so when you erode the trust of the people that love you and that are around you for years and years on end, because again, this sounds very, if we were to list our sins and confess to one another, there's going to be people that are watching this that are going to go, oh my gosh, that's peanuts. Like that's what that guy's worried about but we all do it. We all go against this. And so for me, when I had that transformation, the one thing that kept sticking in my mind was, I do not want to lose this. I do not want to lose this. This is the thing that brings me life. This is the thing that brings me peace.
Why would you think you would lose it?
Because I'd lost it before. Because I'd went so many years and I didn't even realize that I had, slowly the line had pushed. Slowly, very slowly had the line pushed. And so when you turn and you look and you realize how far off track you have gotten in your heart. Was I making great money? Yeah, I was married to a beautiful wife and beautiful kids and a beautiful family and, all of these exteriors, successful and, blah, 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 blah. I couldn't look at myself in the mirror.
Yeah.
Because I was disgusted by what I saw, that light that was gone, that was in my eyes. So I didn't want to, when he showed me mercy, and it was and I'll never forget the experience. I'll never, ever, ever forget this experience. It was overwhelming. I don't cry a lot. I'm not emotional. It was all of those things, and it was all at once, and it was the glory of God, and it was, and I don't want to, sin and say God said or God did or anything like that and take his name in vain. But the experience that I had was an overwhelming experience. And when I was given that peace, I realized that I never wanted to lose it. And so how do you not lose it? You give it back. We are all given gifts. We're all unique and beautiful and made in the image of God. Yeah. And those are gifts. And so the gifts that I thought were weaknesses, like intelligence, like social standing, like my last name or whatever that I rebelled against, I realized, no, those are gifts to be given.
Your talents.
Those are talents. Mm-hmm. Those are literally, in the most literal sense. Right. And those are to be given back. They're not to be hoarded. They're not to be buried. They're not to be buried. They're not to be kept. They are to be given back. And so...
And that's brought up, I'm referencing the
parable of the talents.
Which gets lost on people, that it's just money.
Right. It's not about usury or money right.
But then Paul goes on in Corinthians and talks about the talents of people.
Right.
Different talents,
gifts.
prophecy, gifts,
discernment,
all these things. And you're right. You are blessed with gifts from God. And
we all are.
We all are.
Yep.
They're different.
Of course.
Our good friend Micah, who's running this production, he's a very gifted man.
No doubt about it. This is incredible.
But it's different gifts.
Right.
My gift might be just listening.
Empathizing. Right.
Understanding.
Right.
And you certainly,
sacrifice.
You certainly have many gifts.
Yep.
And why would you ever be ashamed?
That's pride.
Pride.
Of course. That's the original. That is the original from which all sins stem, is pride. Is if you hate someone and you want to see them die, what does Christ says? You're murdering them. Mm-hmm. You're murdering them. You're committing these things in your heart. Mm-hmm. So, and to say that person doesn't need life is to go against the will of God. Right?
Yeah.
So to say that, whatever it is, and we all are affected by the corruption. So, and to me, it is a sickness in the most real sense. It's a sickness. And when you're sick, oftentimes you don't understand that you're sick. You don't understand what ails you. So sin is a sickness that we experience. And when one of the ways in which that sickness affected me was taking those gifts and seeing them as a weakness, seeing my intelligence as a weakness.
I keep coming back to that.
Right.
How, go ahead, expand on the weakness part.
Well, so,
because that's to me even more bizarre, because it is not only a gift, a talent, it's by all measures that I could see, that's a strength.
Sure. Well, a good analogy to look at it is fire. A very basic, I'm trying to rack my brain, a very basic thing, right? You grill?
Yeah.
Don't you love a great grilled ribeye?
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you hate to be set on fire? Right?
Absolutely.
So it can go either way. So these gifts, you can use them for good by giving them back to others, to the least amongst us. Or you can bury those talents and you can keep them for yourself. And when you do that, then they do become, they're not gifts anymore. So you're using them for when you save and you guard and you position and you manipulation, because that's what you're doing. You're manipulating reality. So my will be done, not your will.
Yeah. And you're right. You are intelligent. Just so you know, if you don't really realize that, you're a very intelligent man. Do you think that you use that intelligence, that wit, to belittle and to beat people down?
Of course.
And to
100%. This is what I'm saying. And so that is the cleverness of the enemy, is to use the beautiful gifts that God has given you to invert them again. I go back to this concept of inversion, and to make it against him. So to the gifts that he's given me, I didn't earn my intelligence. I was born with it.
Yeah.
It was a gift given to me freely. And so for me to use that, and it's a conversation that I constantly have to have. It's a conversation that we all, and if you're being honest, you have to be honest with yourself and realize that, hey, buddy, it's not a once and done. I didn't cross any finish line. I mean, Paul, as he's being sent to be killed, he laments, I didn't do enough. right?
I struggle with it.
Of course.
I struggle with
We
it.
should.
Yeah.
That's a great struggle. That's a beautiful struggle.
I walk in and pull into my parking lot sometimes, and I look at the building, I look at the parking lot, look at the people that are going in, and I think to myself, I'm not worthy
Of course.
of this position. I'm not worthy.
That's better than
be
arrogance, though. It's still a trap.
It is a trap.
It's still a trap because you're basically saying you're smarter than God. Because God says, I give you these gifts. And you say, well, I'm not worthy of them. He's like, well, I gave them to you.
Yeah.
Or I'm not worthy of mercy, redemption, love, grace, acceptance.
Yeah.
And so people with high intelligence, that is a trap you fall into, I fall into. That is a trap that we fall into because we can see, well, I'm actually a piece of crap. I don't deserve
if people only knew.
Second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth chance, whatever, the 77th, forgive 7 times 77, he comes up with this absurd number where we have to do math.
Yeah.
Because the point he's making is you are going to fail. Yeah. So I tell my kids this literally every day. It is not about your failure. It is about what you do when you fail.
Yeah.
A diet is a good example. You've been on diets. Of course, we all, yeah. We've got to take your help.
Another one.
Yeah.
So bikini weather's coming.
Yeah, that's right. So when you break your diet, do you just continue to eat stuffed cheeseburgers down your gullet and right. No. Or do you get back on?
You get back.
Right. So that's the point is you
if
will
you do nothing in a difficult time, your strength is limited.
Yeah, of course. Excellent way to put that.
Proverbs.
Right.
It's my favorite book. I just can't help it.
I love how we're secretly quoting scripture, but we're not actually saying whatever. If we watch back the tapes, we're both saying a lot of scripture as if they're our own words, but that's okay because they are. They are.
There's some of those gifts and talents.
Absolutely.
That are given to us.
Yep.
To utilize.
But I think that so what you do when you fail is more important than the failure. Because oftentimes we can fail inadvertently without malice in our heart. You try your best and then you still fall on your face. It happens. You make a bad deal. You've thought about it and done blah 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 and whatever. You've made a bad deal. And so what do you do after you have failed? It's how you deal with the failure is what defines you and what defines your relationship with the divine, with the thing that is set apart from you, that is blanketed all over creation. So it's not sin that blankets creation, what Paul tells us, right? That's a novel new way to look at the world as if evil's behind that door or something like that. No. We are the authors of evil.
Yeah.
The principalities of the world are the authors of evil. But God is intricately intertwined in this chair because that's how we answer the one and the many. How is there the concept of chair and multiple chairs? The only way is that there is in this fabric a matrix code, or however you want to view it, an energetic procession, however you want, whatever words you want to use to describe it. And it gets very challenging to do that. But how do you do that? Well, because God is in his creation. God is in everything. And so I think when I was slowly drifting in my life, slowly drifting across those lines while still maintaining in my mind that I was righteous, that I was following, because I was putting God in a box, right? I would connect.
In a suitcase.
In a suitcase, even better. Hidden under the bed. But I would
carry it around, but don't show anybody.
I would go into the woods. I would go into nature. And I didn't understand at the time why that was so important to me. If I could not calm myself, I merely had to go and hunt or fish or trap or forage or whatever it is that I was doing, or just go and sit in the woods. Because it was a purification of my heart. It was a way for me to see the beauty and intricacies of the divine without even conceptually understanding that. So to this day, if I'm focused on something and I am throwing myself into that thing or whatever, it's the 2022 budget for Henry County, whatever it is, the TCA for this, that, and the other. and I might forget to eat, or I might forget to sleep, or those things that are to me not on my purview. My wife, in her wisdom and beauty, will look at me and say, "You need to go into the woods.
Yeah.
You need to go into the woods." And I know what that means.
Get out of here?
No, it means go and pray.
Yeah.
Go and pray and realize and take your shoes off and connect and realize that you are a part of this greater thing. And something that I do instill in people that I talk with under bridges or wherever, and the things that I go and I try to share my talents or my children or with you or with whoever, is there is beauty and power in creation.
Mm-hmm.
It is not the other way around.
Mm-hmm.
When I go to a river and I see trash, I don't see that as corruption. I see that as an opportunity to restore beauty, to be
It's a great way to look at it.
to be a steward,
Yeah.
because that is our job.
Mm-hmm.
What are we stewarding? Love,
Yeah,
grace,
right.
light.
Not
That's
hate
correct.
for whom or however
Right.
that.
And it's
that
so
got in
easy
there.
to do that.
Yeah.
We have
It's a great, I like that.
we have these little what's a good way to put this? Panic boxes in our pocket that we all carry around.
Yeah.
These anxiety screens that
Yeah.
we carry around. And they're really, really good. Again, I'm not a Luddite. Technology is great. I use it every day. We're using it right now. But it's easy. It has made it easier to forget that God is in his creation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's made it easier for us to hate those that we don't know, especially like Facebook. It has become a form of communication in community. So it's communication in community. Whereas prior we would meet in places like this, and we would have our pancake suppers, and we would look eye to eye, and we would come to terms by literally feeling the energy, whether you realize that that's what's happening or not. But you're connecting.
Mm-hmm.
But when you see words written, and Patrick Smith wrote these words, and then Jonathan Lodge writes these words back, that's not Patrick Smith, and that's not Jonathan Lodge. And
a lot of times it's either the best of what we want to put out or the worst of what we want to put out.
it doesn't seem like there's an in between.
It doesn't, does it?
It really doesn't. It really it is very much a dichotomous landscape.
It is.
And so I have a limit on my phone for this because I can't even trust myself. So I do 10 minutes a day on Facebook.
Yeah.
And that's 10 minutes too long.
Yeah.
That's 10 minutes too long. I don't read comments. I've had Facebook posts sent to me about me. I don't read them. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I don't know what you expected me to do, but that's a poison pill.
Yeah, it is.
And I am not, you talk
That's
about
what
intelligence.
Nick Saban calls that rat poison.
It is rat poison.
That's what he calls it.
And you speak about me being intelligent. I am not intelligent enough to resist that, but I am intelligent enough to know that I can't resist that.
Yeah.
So I don't partake. I post and ghost.
Yeah.
I again, 10 minutes go by, which I never hit that limit. My phone never shuts off the Facebook app because I'll go and I'll look at my usage and it'll be 8:59. 8 minutes and 59 seconds.
No doom scrolling for you.
All right,
Yeah.
got it. Let's close it.
Yeah.
We're done. I can't because and that is, again, the way in which our community talks. What I have loved the absolute most about running for public office, for running for Henry County Mayor, is talking with people, getting in front of people. That is connecting with people that I can't. If you were to list it out on paper, it wouldn't make sense that I could connect with these people. But when I'm talking to these people, regardless of their religious views or political affiliations or all these boxes that we like to draw around each other, especially on Facebook, because it's going, are you married? Do you have this? Do you have that? There's this list underneath your name of who you are, the box that you're in. I'm a fisherman. I'm a mushroom hunter. I'm a blah, 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 blah.
You love people.
I love people.
I love people.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why you and I connect. And that's the reason why people connect with you, is that it radiates out.
You can't fake it.
You cannot fake.
I've tried, and you fail miserably.
I have been in places where resume doesn't matter. where what you have on your back doesn't matter. And I always come out with a friend.
Yep.
I always come out with.
I don't meet strangers.
I don't either.
I don't see strangers. I'm still human. So if I'm approaching someone or I'm door knocking or I'm at an event or a charity or whatever it is, my first instinct, and it's unavoidable, is to box, is to other them.
Yeah.
So other them. The conscious thought that I have, so that's an instinct. Mm-hmm. That's something that I'm like, ugh, So I fight that. I make a decision. And the conscious choice that I make is, how do I find the common connection?
Yeah.
How do I find, and what I've realized, Patrick, is, and this is going to sound crazy, but I have yet to find someone that I don't have more in common with than I don't. And I've searched far and wide. And I've talked to very powerful people. And I've talked to very small, miserable people that are the least amongst us. Mm-hmm. And everyone in between, and every lot in life. And I've yet to find someone that I don't have more in common with than I don't.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. They can spit on Christ. They can hate the things that I love. But with a conversation,
it's powerful.
It's powerful. And you can find, and that's word. Because you doing this, you will uncover, as more and more people sit in this chair, mm-hmm. you will uncover, and you know this, mm-hmm. the depths of the human heart. The depths of the human heart.
I want to come back around on some things that you've already brought out about yourself, which you've done a great job of telling us who Jonathan Lodge is without telling us what it is that you do.
Sure.
Our producer Micah brought in some really special coffee.
Yeah.
We started talking about that, and
this is just water, by the way.
Yeah, this is just water.
I can't do. Yeah.
I've got the coffee. Thank you, Micah, for
the real stuff,
the good stuff here.
Yeah.
And you have some unique talents, more unique talents, and this love for foraging and the outdoors, and something that's not just a you thing. This is your family. You guys will go out and forage, but
yeah,
it's science, it's nature, it's everything to you. Tell me about that nature connection that you have.
There's never been a time in my life when I did not have that. One of my earliest memories, my dad was in seminary in Richmond, Virginia. I was probably 3.
Yeah.
But I remember this, at 3 years old. My mom was going to the post office, and I found in the bushes a giant green Cecropia caterpillar. So the Cecropia caterpillar, I believe, is the largest insect in North America by weight, the caterpillar. So it's a giant green Cecropia. And I convinced my mom to put it in the yellow manila envelope that she had. We brought it back to this apartment, which was the size of this room. Yeah. Imagine a seminarian in his early 30s with 2 children. It made a cocoon. Of course, we had it in the air condition, so it didn't know what time of year it was. Mm-hmm. And there was snow on the ground in Richmond.
Yeah.
And we all wake up at like 4 a.m. because we hear this loud racket. And this Cecropia moth, which was about this big, had hatched.
Wow. So
my dad was like, we got to let it go. Even then, I was like, we let it go, it's going to die. I mean, it's winter time, So we obviously had to let it go. But I would, my mom would come home or my dad would come home, and I would have taken my radio flyer wagon and had found a giant alligator snapping turtle that was 150 pounds, the largest reptile we have in Tennessee. My first snake I caught was a a pygmy rattlesnake that I brought in the ice cream plastic gallon ice cream buckets. I brought it to church. My dad was having a session meeting. I was so proud. I didn't realize it was a rattlesnake, but I'd seen the crocodile hunter and those on TV, and so I picked it up behind its neck with a stick, and it was spring, so it was still kind of slow, so it didn't rattle at first. And Ken Goddard was our county extension agent. He was one of the session members.
Yeah.
And I was so excited. I was 6, and I opened up the bucket, and you hear. And of course, there's people there that are just like this.
Wrong kind of church.
Wrong kind of church. Not that type of church. And so he's like, Jonathan, that's a pygmy rattlesnake. Like, you know. So we had to put the lid back on. Everyone was terrified.
Yeah.
They allowed the 6-year-old to let it go. They're like, well, he caught it. Well, he can let it go. So my mom pulls the minivan over in the middle of a field. And I'm like, please, can we keep it as a pet? And I didn't understand why we couldn't. She's like, if it bites you, you will die. You know, so
I could see Miss Mary doing that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they would come home, and there would be, you know, we'd be on vacation. I'd catch a tarantula. I'd smuggle it back to Tennessee without any, I mean, it's just, so there was never a time in my life where I wasn't interested in herpetology, dendrology, mycology, whatever it was. I was always learning and studying the natural world around me.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just experiential, like catching these things or growing or whatever. But it was learning. It was learning the intricacies of the science itself. So I don't remember a time when that was not a staple in my life.
Yeah.
It's always has been. I milked snakes for the Murray State Herpetology Club.
What?
From Hematite Lake. And we would, so there's always been that. So
wait a minute. You milked the snake venom.
Yeah.
Venom.
For antivenom. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a really cool thing.
Yeah.
What was it? Was there a girl involved? What possessed you to do that?
You know, again, it's just like when I put my mind to something, this is a superpower and this is a terrible thing. It can go both ways. It's hard for me to break that focus. So I really got into, you know, herpetology, and I got into the herpetology club and all of these things. So I would really get into these things. Fermentation. Got into fermentation so much I opened breweries.
That's right. You had
multiple. And so, you know, we were talking about coffee earlier and growing coffee plants and fermenting beans and cacao plants and fermenting cocoa, you know, making chocolate, fermenting, you know, so the fermentation process is fascinating to me. So I'm going to make kefir. I'm going to make kombucha. I'm going to make clothing out of the SCOBY. I'm going to take it to its furthest. I'm going to grow mushrooms inside for farmers markets and for different companies and different restaurants. And I'm going to grow them outside as well. And I'm going to really get into the things that I'm interested in, beekeeping, or we can just go down the list.
I love the list. I'm very, everything that you're hitting on. I can't wait. Number one, to have honey. Yeah. Number two, have some mushrooms.
Right. Morel mushrooms are the season's ending right now in this area, but you can still go out and find them. But I have always connected with that. So it's important for me that my family and I connect on that level. If anything were to ever happen to me, my wife would have 50 dogs and cats and parrots and all sorts of, so she's very much an animal lover as well. Over COVID, I don't know to share this or not, but I was very honest about it. Over COVID, my wife and son, Bear, we call him Bear, his middle name's Bearclaw. So Chelsea and Bear were in the woods and they found an owl about this big, and it just had it's just white feathers, not even feathers, I forget what they're called, the technical word, but this was right as COVID was unfolding. So we call every state agency, every bird, raptor, you know, and they were like, I called the TWRA, I called, you know, all these different folks. And they said, Jonathan, you got to let nature take its course. And I was like, you don't know, Chelsea. You know, you don't understand. That's not going to be an option. So I told her, I said, listen, we can't keep this thing in a cage. It is so highly illegal.
Yeah.
I can't let it die either.
Yeah.
So I built a box and put it really high on a tree. I'd actually talked to people that were licensed in the state that worked for the state, and they kind of threw me a bone, and they're like, look, we don't want to see, it was a barred owl, not barn owl, barred. And so I never once had it in a cage. It was always free to go. And we fed this thing and we raised this thing. I would put a metal ladder in the middle of thunderstorms and climb up it and feed it crayfish and chopped up fish and snakes and lizards. And
I've got images of Harry Potter's
right
now.
And his name was Rogue.
Right.
And our goal was, we will raise this thing until it's big enough to take care of itself. And so I've got videos and all sorts of fun stuff where I would just be outside and I'd put my arm out and I'd say, come on, big guy. And he would fly down and just land on my bare arm, and you'd see a little blood trickle down because I would refuse to do anything that would show that I had any kind of possession over this owl.
It was all organic.
It was all organic. So my defense was going to be, look, this thing's free to go. I've never kept it in a cage. It's never been inside it's never been inside my house. A few times we would have the door open going to school.
And it wanted to come
and you can't hear an owl fly.
No, they're very quiet.
And the kid whichever kid had the door open, all of a sudden and Rogue would just come in, and we have vaulted ceilings, and it would just go to the very top as far as and so then I'd have to go and get a fish or whatever and coax, so we wouldn't be late for school, coax Rogue out of the house.
Now I've got How to Train Your Dragon.
Right. And so we've done that with a few different animals. The end of the story with Rogue was he was allowed to go free. We trained him to hunt, which is a very brutal, terrible process that I jokingly say when I get to heaven, Jesus is going to go, whoa. Let me show you some things, because you have to cripple animals so they can't get away.
Yeah.
But you can't kill them. So to show and train the owl how to hunt, it's not tenable to have an owl that it would follow me around. I would come home and it would be flying like a Disney movie, be flying next to my truck. And I'm going 20 miles an hour down the driveway.
That is so cool.
And this owl's just like next to me looking, hey, there's my guy. What's up? Where have you been?
Get any crippled squirrels?
Right. And so I'd go through the woods and the thing would follow me for miles and from tree to tree. And I mean, it was just a very unique experience. And so I called the people, and I'm like, look, this thing's got all its feathers, it's flying, it's great. What I want to incorporate it back into into nature. And so yeah, you got to cripple some animals. This is how you got to do this. And you got to wean them off of your, So one day I had my earbuds in and I'm painting the porch or something. I think whatever I was doing, but I was on my hands and knees. I think I was painting the porch, and I feel something, and I look behind me, and it is a cottonmouth that has been ripped up with owl claws. So Rogue had caught this thing, brought it to me to show me, hey, look, I can hunt. So that was the first, I acknowledged that, Rogue can take care of himself. Scared me. I'm not scared of snakes. Absolutely terrified.
Yeah, one dropping out of the sky.
A cottonmouth that is injured dropping behind you is not always a pleasant experience. And so then, Rogue circles back and comes and sits down and does this. Hey, you see what I brought you? And I'm like, good boy, So we stopped feeding him, and he continued to bring us crayfish and worms and all sorts of stuff, and then he would eat them.
Yeah.
And then one day, just Rogue wasn't there. And so a month goes by and no Rogue. And I went to take the trash out one night, and Rogue lands right in front of me. Right there. And I get a little emotional.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my gosh. And then all of a sudden I hear, and I hear it, and there's 4 other owls.
Yeah.
So the only conversation I can think is Rogue said, hey guys, I know this idiot that will feed us. Yeah. Just come with me. I'll show you. Yeah. And so of course we don't have anything. We have maybe some Tyson chicken or something like that in the fridge. And Chelsea in her wisdom is like, we can't. We can't. Like he's with a, I think they call it a parliament of owls. So he's with a parliament. Like we can't So that was the last time. That was the last time I saw
rogue.
But we've done that with we did that with a possum. We raised it and again, no cages or anything like that, but to where these animals had a chance. Squirrels, things like that.
Your kids love it.
Yeah. We had a turkey. I hit a nest of turkey egg, or I hit a hen sitting on her eggs with a bush hog. And Panda there was one egg left. And we got a space heater and towels and wrapped it and placed the space heater was 73 degrees or whatever it was. And we hatched this thing, and it, again, never in a pen or anything like that. And it eventually was, would roost outside of my chicken coop, and it looked at the chickens as its own. And one spring, some toms came around.
Yeah.
And they were drumming.
Yeah.
And Panda walked off with the toms, and it was beautiful. It was wonderful to be able to help even one of God's creatures, So there's always been that. That's always been fascinating. Growing up, my dad was very much a pacifist and very much against firearms. So it was people like Ken Goddard and others in the church that would take me hunting because I wanted to go hunting. And my dad wasn't a hunter. So I learned these things, and especially in my adulthood, through YouTube. So I'd have customers at the brewery, old timers, fifth generation hunters, and they would just think I am absolutely out of my mind because the way and approach in which I would take this. But I would want to learn everything I could about hunting bobcats or hunting whatever weird thing that I was trying to figure out how to otter or whatever it was to hunt, kill, and eat. So there's never been so I didn't have those taboos either. I didn't have the taboos or bad habits. I call them bad habits. They might call them tradition. But I've never been in a duck blind. I've killed a lot of ducks. So
I've never been in a duck blind either. I've just never.
I don't have the money.
Yeah,
it's very expensive. It's a very expensive hobby.
It's expensive, and it's a lot of early mornings for little payback.
Very little, and a lot of them don't even eat the ducks. And so I was very blessed to have, and I still do. I have duck hunter friends that I'll just wake up in the morning during duck season, and the back of my truck will be 30 ducks. Now they're not cleaned or anything, so I get to work. But I love to cook.
Yeah,
I'm a foodie. A food desert is a harsh term, and I don't want to go and sound as if I'm coming against our local groceries or anything like that. But there's a bigger selection outside of Henry County is the best way to put that. And so if you are an adventuresome eater, it makes it difficult within the confines.
It really does.
We don't have a Whole Foods or things like this where you can taste kind of the world, different cultures around the world. So that's a big reason why I got into hunting and foraging, was to expand my palate, to experience things that you couldn't necessarily go out and buy in a store. I got very fascinated with the way in which the first peoples here, the Native Americans, would eat and their diets, and how they would use certain things to season their foods. So I would do fusion, where I would blend my cooking techniques and whatever I had learned from Asian culture, Italian food, or French cooking, or whatever, with Native American, because that was fascinating. Let's use spice bush to smoke our meats under, our fish or what have you. So I got into foraging really selfishly to expand my palate, to experience these things.
I've watched a series on Netflix about the people that live to be 100. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yeah, the Blue Zones.
The Blue Zones.
Yeah.
And food is a big part.
Huge.
It's a huge part.
Yep.
And our diet now consists mainly, if you were to, as you were talking about, a food desert, what's available to us is processed foods and sugar.
Right.
And that's what we live off of as a norm, as a society.
In this society.
And
it's very unique. This society is very unique to other societies, because how every other society and culture views food is as medicine. So
we view it
as a byproduct of being in a biological body.
Just something to consume, something
to make feces. That's its
Yeah.
that's its role.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that's a crude way to say that.
Well, I think about just things like Monster energy drinks,
Sure.
or whatever you want to call those things.
The plastic that lines the inside of this cup, we're going to consume a little bit of it,
little
especially
bit.
with hot liquids.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's inescapable. There is this separation between our mind and our body and our soul that we have endemic in this culture. And one of the byproducts is the poisonous garbage that we consume on a daily basis. And I listen.
Yeah.
McDonald's is awesome.
It is.
And they're really good at what they do. And they inject a
Love
lot
those fries.
They inject a lot of things and do a lot of manipulation. It's not you can't go home and make McDonald's French fries.
Right.
And I've tried. I've got the correct potato. Forget the name of it. I had to special order
they
it.
own like their own potato farms,
Right.
basically.
Using the same oil, the same salt. You can't do it. You don't have the food science that goes on. So it's good. They're good at it. Tastes good. It tastes good. But what does it do for your body? And so one of the things that in the last 5 or 6 years, or however long it's been since I've had that moment of peace and clarity and recommitment, one of the things that I've incorporated on a regular basis in my life is fasting. The last year, the Nobel Prize in Science was given to, and forgive me, I can't remember the scientist's name, but he proved that fasting actually kills cancer. Actually, there's all these positive benefits in our body. He won the Nobel Prize for it last year over this. That's something that we as Christians have always known. Jesus tells us to fast and pray.
Fast.
Yeah.
When you say fast, what do you mean by fasting? What is it?
So
that you're
like
calling?
I'm fasting right now.
Are you fasting for Lent?
So
are you fasting for health, or
there is no, again, I don't
ahead.
like to make that distinction.
Yeah.
I don't think that there is a distinction. I think that fasting. So what I mean by fasting, I mean I'm drinking water. I had some coffee this morning. I'm not going to eat food. I'm not going to start my metabolism. I'm not in the sense of energy input, right? So fasting is a way in which you can strengthen your mental state, because you're one of the most basic things is hunger. You know, if you have kids and you had a baby and it's crying, what do dads do? Their go-to is they give them a bottle.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's right. Yeah, call. Hey,
Kids crying again.
What do I do with this thing? Yeah, no, you give it a bottle, and you maybe check its diaper, right? But you always give it a bottle first, right? So to strengthen your mental fortitude, you will feel hunger. You resist. You're not going to die. I promise you. You're not going to die. You've got plenty of things in your body to keep you alive for
I've got a little bit of
quite a long time. Likewise. But it also, there is a metaphysical thing that's happening. It's a mystery. I don't know what it is. I've thought about it. I have no idea. I have ideas about it, but I have no idea what it is. But there is a metaphysical process happening. We know this from every world religion. Every world religion, without exception, there is with the exception of maybe here now in our society. But every major world religion has this understanding, this universal truth of fasting, that it does something beyond you. It's doing something. So it's a purification of some sort. Again, the Nobel Prize was just given to prove this, that it is a purification in the most literal biological sense. It's purifying your body from misfolded proteins and cancers and all of these things, right, that can hurt you. So fasting is something to me that is very important. It gives me mental clarity. It gives me spiritual understanding, and it helps my body. It helps my body purge itself of the garbage that I sometimes put in. Easter candy went on sale. You know, so I'm like, let's get some. It's on sale,
right?
These Reese's eggs are the absolute best thing ever. So great. But
how does somebody start that process? How does somebody
Do it right now.
just
Do it right now. Just when you get hungry, don't eat.
when you get hungry, don't eat? And
Drink
what
some
about
water.
when you get hangry?
You take that as an opportunity. So you take, again, your world is on fire and you are at peace. So you take that as an opportunity to strengthen your fortitude, to strengthen your convictions, to say, God, you are the only thing that can fulfill me.
Yeah.
That is you are the only thing. You are the life that I need. Not man cannot live on bread alone.
What are you wrestling with right now? Internally, externally, what is it that you're struggling with right now?
It's really one thing. I am asking the people of Henry County to let me lead and represent them at the highest level of county government. And I don't want to let those people down. I don't want to impose my selfish desires on that task. I don't want to muddle the waters with my own ambitions and thoughts and manipulation and deceit. Play the political game. No, I don't think so. I don't want to play the political game. I don't want to be a politician. I want to be a public servant. So when people support me, it does not go to my head. It goes to my shoulders. Because I know in their heart that they do. But I also know my heart. And it is a constant checks and balance. And I just want to make sure that I can be the best person that I could possibly ever be. And one way in which I can fulfill that is by action, is by doing. To me, there is never enough time in the day. There is never, hardly ever a day where I'm satisfied with the work that I've put in. My wife thinks I'm crazy, and I probably am, because
Maybe a little.
I'll work 12, 14 hours at this. I'm not going to be outworked. No matter what happens with the election, I will not say to myself, you could have done more. So I want to make sure that I am not letting down the people of Henry County. And if the people of Henry County will have me, I want to be prepared.
Are you afraid that if you were to step into this role, if you were to be chosen, are you afraid of yourself? Are you afraid of your pride? Are you afraid that you will become something that you hate?
I think looking back in my life, I had to go through a baptism by fire. I had to go through certain losses and experiences. And it was in preparation for running for office. It is the 9th of April. It is not August 6th. What can I do today? How can I make a difference today without titles, without power, without anything? With my word. Literally, that's all I have is my word. That's it. So what can I do today? There are hard guardrails that I've put in my life in preparation for this, that at any other time in my life, I would not have put those guardrails up because I didn't go through the experiences that I went through. Losing my father was one of the hardest things I've had to go through. the time in my life where my life was not, on the exterior it looked great, but on the interior, that time when I had put that.
And when was that for everybody? You lost Arthur Lodge, your father,
Over a year ago.
a year ago.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I believe in the promise, and I don't believe that he's lost. If there's one person I wish I could call and pick up the phone and talk to him about what I'm doing, it would be him. With that being said,
Would he be supporting your decisions or talking?
He would be pushing me very hard.
He'd be pushing you.
He'd be pushing me very hard. And I feel, without sounding, like a mystic or something, I do feel his presence. Not always, obviously, but in some of my actions. A lot of charities and things that I go to, I get asked to do the invocation, and I have a lot of people come up to me and say, "Man, you are embodiment. You're the embodiment of your father." And there was maybe a time in my 20s, I'm 40.
Yeah.
There was maybe a time in my 20s where I would have resented that.
Sure.
Now I'm like, that is the greatest compliment.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's wonderful. So, I'm not worried. My greatest enemy, if elected, is myself. I have enemies. I pray for those people genuinely, earnestly. I cannot have room in my heart for hatred. They hate me, and I love them, and it makes them hate me even more sometimes.
Yeah, it's funny how that works.
And I pray for these people by name. It is not, God, you know my heart. No, I list them out by name. And I love them. And, there's a lot of weird colloquial phrases like "have the day you deserve" and "I didn't ask for your prayers" or "I'll pray for you." And it's an inversion of the words.
Mm-hmm.
Have the day you deserve. You mean that with a sneer, with hatred in your heart.
Yeah.
But you should have the day you deserve.
Yeah.
And the day you deserve is one with light and beauty and love and forgiveness and redemption and mercy and all of these gifts that God gives us. That is God.
Mm-hmm.
I'll pray for you. You mean that with a sneer? That's disgusting.
Yeah.
You should be praying for me.
Yeah.
And I'll be praying for you.
Yeah.
So, I'm not worried about the people that don't like me. I'm worried, and not worry is not a good way to put this, but I'm focused on making sure that I am the best person I can be.
Being the best person, you would be in this role, if elected, someone that would be in an obvious position to set the vision for the community, or at least to listen to the community and help the community realize its vision.
Right.
You've certainly had some time to think about what you would like to see the county become, or are you looking to fill this position as purely someone that is just administratively moving something from point A to point B, or the signature of whatever that somebody else comes up with?
Right.
What? How do you see the future of Henry County?
I genuinely believe that we are at a crossroads. That whatever flowery metaphorical language you want to use, we're crossing the Rubicon or whatever. We're at a crux. There is a giant influx of people that have moved to Henry County.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome, by the way.
Moving.
Moved and moving.
There's a growing population.
Right. And they seem to come from one of three states. They moved here for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to remind everyone listening that you moved here for a reason. Let's keep those places there and this place here.
Mm.
Don't California my Tennessee. So I love California. Nothing against it. Beautiful state.
It is.
They've got some big problems in their government, and so people have left that
Mm-hmm.
for like-minded people here. But then sometimes they bring those ideas unknowingly.
It's culture.
Right. To
Culture.
expand our government, to cede more power, to raise taxes, to do all of these things, right? So I think we are at, and it's beautiful. I think we're at a crux where it's time for us to make a decision. It is untenable, the path that has been presented. I'm not going to ever look over my shoulder and point fingers. I'm not here to do that. That's not what accountability means. Accountability means you understand how we got here, who and why we got here,
Mm-hmm.
so that we don't continue to make those same mistakes.
Yeah.
So that we can press forward into the future. I believe our brightest days are ahead. But I believe that we will make this decision in August. On August 6th, I believe the people of Henry County will decide what path they want to go down. So the future of Henry County is actually not in this room. But the future of Henry County, to avoid platitudes and nonsense, there's no other way to put this, and I believe this in my heart of hearts, is the children. And not only do we bleed money servicing debt, but we bleed 20 and 30-year-olds that don't have opportunities here that Larry Smith and Arthur Lodge and Jonathan Lodge and Patrick Smith have had. Is that the fault of the local government? Sometimes. That's okay. It's not one particular thing. So I have been told that my campaign is very different from other campaigns, the way I've run it. You've told me this, actually. You've seen me running this in a very different way. I want to retain our historical identity. I do not want to lose that. Our greatest resource is not Grove Tower or the courthouse, these beautiful historical buildings, but it's the people. It's the people. That is our greatest resource, not the titanium that's in the sandstone or whatever.
I've been hunting for it.
You and a bunch of others.
Go around, dig it up.
Right. It is the people. And what I mean by that is we have to decide if we, the people, want to govern ourselves, or if we want to allow ourselves to be governed.
Can we do that? And I ask this in the way that is not meant to trap you, but to say, can a county mayor really affect change? Can a county mayor, if you become county mayor, can they really do something, or are we still so dependent upon the state of Tennessee to tell us what to do? Because in many ways, you mentioned our children, our resources. I'm married to a school teacher. I see where curriculum comes from. It does not come from the local people deciding. It comes from the state.
Right.
And how can we affect change if we are not able to control our own county?
If we all swept our own porch, the world would be a cleaner place. My philosophy that I live my life by is you start here in your heart. You can change that.
Mm.
Then you move to your body. Take care of it. Take care of it. Whatever you're doing to abuse it, take care of it. And then you go to your wife and you say, hey, I'm going to empty the dishwasher. You don't even do it. You don't even say it. You just do it. And you go maybe teach your son guitar or go play Minecraft with your daughter or whatever it is that you do. I'm listing the things that I do. And then you call up your neighbor, say, hey, I've got 4-wheel drive. The ice is out. We'll get to, what do you need from IGA? Milk and bread. I know you need milk and bread, but what else do you need?
Yeah.
Cat food. I know you need milk, bread, and cat food, but what else do you need? So then you move to your family that doesn't live in your home. Then you move to your community and you do helping hands and you do all the things, right? And at the end of the day, if you've done all of those things in that order, and you have to follow that order, I'm going to wager a bet that you don't have time to worry about the things you cannot control.
Mm.
So you can influence, as a county mayor, state politics. You don't even have to be a county mayor. So I have been a part of and helped get 2 different laws changed in the state of Tennessee. It was a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. Alcohol has to do with alcohol.
Okay. Because you had brewery.
Right.
Okay.
And so I know a lot of people in the state. I know a lot of people in state government. I have fostered and developed those relationships, right? So it is not an impossible task. But with that being said, there is a lot that we can do to empower ourselves to sweep our own porch. Nashville barely knows we exist.
Why do you say that?
We're, a county of less than 40,000 in a state of, 7.5, 8 million people, whatever it is.
Yeah, it's grown.
Yeah, it's growing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're not connected to the interstate, and there's a lot. We're on the Kentucky border. There's a lot that we're kind of a sleepy retirement community, which is fine and perfect. But that's what I mean. We're not Memphis. We're not Chattanooga. We're not Knoxville. We're not, these, Murfreesboro and all of these other larger metropolitan areas with bigger populations and bigger infrastructure and bigger tax basis and all of these things, right? So it's not a bad thing. This isn't a negative thing that I'm saying that they barely know that we exist.
I would agree.
DC has no idea that we exist.
Yeah.
They're like, West Tennessee, is that, what is that, a country group? Like they don't know, they don't know what that, again, these aren't necessarily bad things. We have great representation in those governments, but we as a community need to empower each other to put aside those boxes, to put aside those labels that the algorithm wants to say this and this, and I think you're going to like that and this and that and this, and draw a line in the sand and say we're Team Henry County.
Yeah. I think about the opportunities that were before me whenever I was 25 years old, coming out of engineering school in West Tennessee in Henry County. My dad was working at developing L.I. Smith.
Mm-hmm.
He was having a hard time retaining talent, finding talent. And there was decades where if you were going to be an engineer, you were going to have to go to Memphis, Nashville, Kansas City, somewhere else.
To just do your job.
To just do what it is that you want to do. So what we did to me, many years was we lost a lot of that valuable resource that you said, the people from here.
Sure.
When I came back from Memphis and I looked around the landscape, I was like, this is where I want to be.
Mm-hmm. If
this is where I want to be, I bet there's other people that want to be here.
Right.
And I looked at, what the average commute time that I had whenever I was working, and it was 40 minutes easy, but a lot of days it was an hour and 20 minutes or something like that. And when you draw that circle out around Henry County, I saw there is a vast amount of people that are interested in what we have here, that are willing to work here. Right. And I have people that come to Henry County to work every day that live in Lexington, in Jackson, right. in Union City, in Martin, in Dover, and those people want to be able to go to First Methodist Church on Wednesday nights and, have dinner with their family. They want to be able to coach first base on the T-ball right. team, on Tuesday night. And you have this community. Yep. You have what you said, sweeping the front porch. You have people that are taking responsibility and taking ownership.
That's Mother Teresa, by the way. That's not.
It's possible. It's possible to affect change.
Yes.
With a change in your heart.
Correct.
And a change in, you change your heart. You look around, no longer you see a desolate place on the edge.
It's the opportunity.
It's the opportunity zone.
That's right.
That's where we live in right. Henry County.
Right. Yeah. Again, we have these opportunities. And so this is why I say we are at a crossroads, because the thing about opportunity is it can be fleeting.
Can. Absolutely.
And so it's timing. And so we might lose some of those opportunities if we are not involved enough to have a voice on August 6th. So this is what I tell everyone. You have a voice. You get to exercise that voice on August 6th. And if you don't, because you're not old enough or you're a felon or whatever your circumstances are, you can still affect change. Mm-hmm. You can still be on the right side of history. You can still empower your brothers and sisters to go and do the right thing. So when people think of the county mayor, they think of everything from taxes to tadpoles, right?
They do.
And it's it's actually a very legally narrow scoped position.
With many people I've heard describe it as, it used to be called the
executive.
The chief executive
sure.
of the county, or the county executive.
Right.
Again, don't feel like that maybe it has any weight or any bearing, but in reality, that is the opportunity to help set the direction
right.
of not just one aspect of the county, but the county mayor, whomever that is,
right.
has a seat at many, many tables.
Yes. And there's a difference between an executive and a bureaucrat. Yeah. There's a huge difference, actually. Every role in my adult life, whether it was managing teams of debt collectors, that was an executive role, or
was that with Tony Soprano?
yeah, that's right. or starting businesses and hiring staff and having dozens of people. An executive position is very different from the rigidity of bureaucracy. There is a time and a place for bureaucracy. With the county mayor, you win friends and you influence people. Someone told me this several months ago, and I've not forgotten it. And they're going to watch this and they're going to say, yes, because they know exactly who they are. But you win friends and you influence people. So you can influence people with puffing out your chest and showing your teeth, or manipulation and behind the scenes. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of that right now. There's a lot of that in this local race. Or you can do it with love in your heart. You can be honest with yourself. I've been very honest today. I feel like maybe I've overshared a little too much. But
we haven't got to the oversharing part. We can dive deeper.
Well, my point is, you can influence people in that one of two ways. You can, again, do it with malice, with hate, whether it's, again, behind the scenes manipulation and whispers and a character demolishing campaign or whatever it is. Or you can do it with love and integrity. You can be transparent. You can be accountable. You can be a steward. So even though I'm human and I might see the shorter path to be, I could just position myself and do this and signal that and telegraph this and really get into the weeds of politics. Or I could just be honest. I could just be honest. I could just be transparent.
You're bringing up a word that, since you're bringing it up, I'm going to follow up on it.
Sure.
Transparency. And you have, I think I mentioned it before, you've been a podcaster, you are a podcaster, you've put yourself out there, but you've also created or been a co-creator or co-part of a movement to have transparency in government, or to showcase or to highlight the processes, to say, this is how things are happening. This is what people are saying. This is the outcomes of these conversations. Are you prepared to have that turn back on you?
100%. I think it's the only way to go. I think it's the only way to go. I think the best government is the smallest one that we can get away with, and then it's the most transparent. So, and when I say government, I really mean institution, any institution. I mean, my 3 children, great example, we make cookies, and they're going to count out how many cookies each one can get and blah, 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 blah. And then they're going to bicker over the rules, and so even in a group of 3, there is this corruption of the coalition of working together. Yeah. So transparency. So I got involved in local government.
Bring that forward a little bit about where this idea came from, because you are coming into a world where I don't know that you ever saw, to me, outside looking in, never saw you sitting in this chair telling anybody that you were going to run for office.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Because that's
absolutely not.
5 or 6 years ago, that was the most opposite thing on your mind.
Absolutely not. So I got involved in local government when our community was faced with a very tough decision, and it had to do with our medical center, our hospital. It's something that we can't even talk about, really. We can't really communicate. There's division. There's dividing lines. There was the brothers against brothers. It was like a civil war in Henry County.
You could not even have a conversation.
You couldn't even have a conversation about it. And I got put in both camps, by the way, which is really funny to me. I got put in both camps. So there's people today that are like, he wanted to sell the hospital. He wanted to keep the hospital, whatever. I got involved because it was hard to follow. It was hard to see. It was hard to understand. It was this opaque thing that was happening.
A lot of fear mongering. Lots.
Not necessarily even by leaders or anything, but by by community leaders, but not by the people that were like tasked with this very complicated, difficult process. I can't stress that enough, how complicated and difficult that process was. So it was frustrating to open up Facebook or the newspaper or whatever, and to see decisions were made and not understand how those decisions, not that I disagreed or agreed with the decisions. That's not the point I'm making. But how did we come to this? Like, okay, we've entrusted these individuals to run our county. How did they make this decision? So we, a few like-minded individuals, my best friend and I, and a few others, we decided we'd create something called Transparent Henry County. And our job at Transparent Henry County was to give Henry Countyans a seat at that table that we were talking about, that proverbial table. So we would record meetings, hospital meetings, county commission meetings, whatever the meetings were. And we would go and we would be silent and we'd be quiet and we'd turn on our camera. And then we would publish this on our Facebook page. Just that made people angry.
It did.
That made people very angry.
It made people really curious about what it is. What's the purpose?
Right. Why are you doing this? Yeah. Why are you doing this? And again, I was doing it, and we still do it, because first of all, this is how most governments work. We were actually on the smaller end of that equation as far as like how most county governments, you can go on YouTube and watch Dickson County school system say, oh, we're going to have a yellow pencil or a red pencil, all in favor of the eye. Okay, the yellows win. It's boring.
Yeah.
But it's there.
Yeah.
And it's open and it's transparent and you're accountable for those decisions. Oh, that guy voted for the red. You know, so you can still, it's still very, because it's hard to.
I've always thought it very weird about the Henry County Commission to have their backs to the public. Have you ever noticed that? That's one of the oddest things that I've ever, because it allows the politician to not face the people. I've always thought that weird, and just
who knows how the new building that we're building will look, and how that will maybe the feng shui of those meetings will be. That's interesting perspective. I have noticed that too, because obviously trying to capture audio with someone with their back turned to you is very difficult. So we've had to, generously through other people that have supported this cause and donations and things like that, we've bought equipment to be able to capture the audio so that everyone again can hear what's going on. One of the things that we've been doing, and I'm very proud of this, is again for transparency, is we to be able to find county commission meetings minutes over the last years. And why is that important? Well, it's important for accountability, to know the who's and the whys and the whats as to how these decisions were made. Because we can't make decisions and then not stand by those decisions and act as if we didn't make those decisions, or if in the future we're going to make different decisions when there's a pattern. This is how you've made decisions. This is how you're going to continue to make decisions. So it's the accessibility of that information. Donna Craig, our county court clerk, has done a great job in providing the PDFs since 2007, but the internet, the algorithms can't actually read those PDFs. So someone with, better technological understanding than myself has been working on writing, and I don't want to get into the details because I don't want to misspeak. But basically the idea is having a Henry County virtual assistant where you can ask this virtual assistant questions about, was there gun rights? Has there been here's where the gun rights were.
It's pulling from Henry
Here's
County
who
data.
voted against gun rights. Here's who voted for gun rights, whatever it is, right? So it pulls from this, it reads and understands the tables and understands this. Again, it's a form of transparency. So whereas we scratch our heads and we say, how do we get in this much debt? What bonds are we servicing? What are the pilot programs? What are, the abatements? On and on and on. Well, it makes it readily available to others. So that's important. That'll be ready hopefully by the end of the summer. It's being trained right now. We've given it to county officials and to several folks, and so they ask it questions and it learns as they ask it questions.
Yeah.
And so we're very much in the beta testing. It is a lot of work. It is a lot of work. It's a big ask for people that this isn't their job, and this isn't what they do, and this is outside of their wheelhouse. And it's sure outside of my wheelhouse. But I see the necessity for it. So transparency isn't a moniker. Okay. It drives me crazy to see political campaigns run on a local level, on a state level, even on a national level, where transparency is a moniker. It is something that we speak out of the side of our mouth. You don't stand on it. When were you transparent?
How does one be more transparent? How does one be transparent? I mean, how do you do
it? In the state of Tennessee, we have sunshine laws, and you have to follow those sunshine laws. And we don't always follow those sunshine laws. This isn't speculation. I've recorded the meetings. I've recorded people breaking those sunshine laws. So sunshine is important. I'm married to a hippie artist. Loves Jesus and chickens, right? That's what we have, a little sign over our chicken coop. But she has told me for 16 years that sunlight will cure a lot of ailments.
Oh, yeah. Solomon says that.
Bring
it out in the sun.
Right. The light. Who's the
light?
Bring
it out in the light.
Right. So that's how you, first you follow the letter of the law. Secondly, you stand on the decisions that you've made. You don't obfuscate the truth. Hey, I made this decision. It was a bad decision, but I did make it.
Yeah.
Or it was a great decision, and I stand by it, even though it looks bad. And here's why. So you have to be transparent, because again, if elected mayor, I'm going to make decisions that you're not going to agree with. You're not going to agree with. That would be crazy to say, for me to sit here and say that Patrick Smith, my friend, this guy that knows me, is going to agree with every decision that I make. But it'll be a lot easier, and you'll have a lot more respect and understanding for the process if you know why those decisions were made. Oh yeah, I weighed out this, and the yellow pencils, and then the red pencils, and this is why they went with the red, even though I really think the yellow, but it's transparent why this decision was made. So yeah, I think I'm excited to have that lens turned on me, given that opportunity. I think that's the only way to go. That's the only way I'd be able to sleep at night, is that people know why decisions are being made. That backroom deals aren't being done, that the good old boy system isn't in play. And right now that good old boy system they're hurting. They're clutching their pearls because I'm running for mayor. They hate it. They want to be left in the dark. They want to gnash their teeth. And I'll tell them, anytime you're ready to stop, you can come on over. Team Henry County. And you'll be accepted with open arms and love. But that's got to stop.
You started on a new topic, and this is probably a fun topic. It's a fun topic for me, and I don't know where you go with this, but your Transparency Henry County is creating an AI, and artificial intelligence is something that for many people seems like a brand new concept, and that it's going to destroy the world, or that in some shape, form, or fashion, it is cheating in life. Where do you see artificial intelligence in our daily lives and in our world? And how do you see that affecting what it is that you do and what your kids are exposed to and how it's being used?
Without being glib or sarcastic or cynical, I don't know what artificial intelligence is. I mean that with the most sincerity I can offer. I don't know what it is. Because it's not algorithms, it's not computer codes, it's not servers, it's not software, it's not hardware, it's not intelligent, it's not artificial. We don't understand. There's terminology because of the scope of the neural networks and how they work called, AI black boxes, where we know that we can put in an input. We don't know what happens in between that and the output, but we know the output's going to be there. So the people that do this for a living don't understand what it is. Carl Sagan has a quote where, it's a famous quote where once you don't understand technology, it seems like magic.
Absolutely. Word.
Yeah, word. So, and I'm butchering that quote. His is far more eloquent than my paraphrasing of it. But I don't know what it is. I use it a lot. The way in which I use it, though, I'm careful because my words are powerful. I believe that. I don't like it speaking for me. I can read and I saw it on Facebook this morning, in my 30-second scroll time. When it starts out and I know the human that's wrote this and I see the long dashes and all of the little question marks and all these things that I'm like, they didn't write this. They wrote it in cooperation with this thing that I'm really not sure what it is. My brain shuts off. I'm like, I'm uninterested in reading this. It matters not to me. I see, and it's bled into politics. I see politicians use it as their voice. And then when you talk to the politician and they have a different voice and you're like, hey, I thought you were saying this, it's so, I use it as a assistant, as a tool, to gather and understand information.
Yeah.
To do things that might have taken a long time otherwise to do, or to find that information out to do. But I do not use it as a voice. I do not use it to speak for me. I do not use it to edit or my positions. I don't use it theologically. I don't use it philosophically. I don't use it to craft prayers or to pray for me. This is how people are using it. Or to be a friend, or to talk to it as if it's going to give me advice in my life. I don't need advice in my life from something that I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I need advice in my life from that person that gave me peace, who is Jesus Christ. That's where my advice comes from. That is my advisor.
You brought up, you said something about winning friends and influencing people. And Dale Carnegie wrote a book with that title. And Dale Carnegie did something which I would call artificial intelligence. He interviewed thousands of people to pull together information that I didn't have to do.
Right.
And gathered this into a book that I did not write.
Sure.
And gave it out or sold it, and it's consumed, and then I now have
apply that information and those tools.
Intelligence.
Right.
Is that artificial intelligence? Is that somebody else gaining the information? And for instance, I'm an engineer. I didn't reinvent calculus.
Right.
But I've
a C++ or whatever. Yeah, right. Yeah.
I was forced into, the use of somebody else's intelligence.
Right.
And also whenever I think about in writing, I've also used things like PowerPoint and templates and tools.
That's okay to use tools. And I use AI as a tool. What's a synonym for this? So of course, there's the thesauruses. There's all sorts of tools that we can use that are ideas, a collective of ideas that have been built upon the human experience over years and years and years. Mathematics. We don't really even know what math is. Like, show me the number 3. Like, it does not exist. The concept of it is exterior to this external world. It is somehow far beyond this. And you talk to mathematicians or you read mathematicians and they say it's like they're uncovering truths that are being presented to them. I think the same way is with these, whatever AI is. It's like, when you listen to Sam Altman or Elon Musk or any of these people that are involved in this this thing, this new field,
Mm-hmm.
they very much believe they are uncovering, that these are gifts that they are uncovering, that it is
Yeah.
breaking a barrier that's beyond the metaphysical understanding
Mm-hmm.
of what these things are. So knowledge falls into that.
You brought up something, and I'm going to interrupt you just midstream because you said something in a different podcast that you and I were on together that blew me away whenever you said it, because this is where I go back to this idea. You said the Constitution is the greatest piece of technology that man's created, one of the greatest pieces of technology
that we have in the United States. Yeah.
And that is not an evident statement, my friend.
Yeah, for sure.
And I wanted to bring that back into to this conversation, because that is, again, this idea of what it is in technology that we're using, this AI, this transparency,
Right.
everything that we're doing,
Right.
and how you see, or what do you see the implications?
I mean, and I stand by that belief that the Constitution is the greatest piece of technology that we have in the United States. What I mean by that is, when you use it, when it is being used, it imbues and imparts and empowers the people that use it to maximize their freedom. Freedom is a representation of that Almighty God that is bound by nothing, that we can only describe as to what he is not. He is not, right?
Yeah.
Apophatically, he is not this, he's not that, he's not this, he's not that. So, the Constitution presupposes a certain understandings about humanity. It presupposes it's not having a conversation about everyone being equal. It presupposes that everyone is equal. Everyone is made in his image, that our purpose is life, to live life, to live it freely, and to pursue happiness.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That is our purpose in life. It presupposes these things. This isn't Christian nationalism, which takes that to the extreme. This isn't
no, it's not
deism or theistic culture. No, but it presupposes these ideals that are very specific, that only originated 2,000 years ago from a human being that came here, that you and I both believe is God.
Yeah.
Those ideas cannot be traced anywhere beyond that person. If that person brought those ideas, for the good, the bad, or the ugly, for anyone watching that is an atheist or whatever, I apologetically inform you that this person came up with those ideas. They're not, Christmas is actually a pagan holiday or whatever. No, these ideas are his.
Yes.
These ideas are his. And so it is that. So what I mean by technology is that document, it presupposes these ideas, and it acts as if those ideas are true. That everyone has a voice, that everyone is equal, that everyone is deserving of justice. That's half the Constitution, is like making sure things are just.
Word.
That we have freedom. That we have the ability to move beyond our circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
That we're not in a caste. That we're not in a group. That we're not in these things.
Transparent.
That's right. And so sometimes it's not applied. And it can come from the group that says, we're the group that applies it. It doesn't matter.
Right.
It can come from any group.
Yeah.
And so if you choose the group over the Constitution, then you've lost, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You've lost.
You've lost
Because it's not, your group can be fallible.
Right.
But we, and it's such a trite, exhaustive philosophical exercise to compare our nation with anything else. But, Rome comes to mind. And as the Republic in Rome is failing and it's becoming the Roman Empire, right? There are two dichotomous groups. There are two different groups and there's no really in between. And these two groups hate each other. And these two groups have and what's funny is at the highest echelons of these groups, they're all friends.
They're the same.
They're the same. They're the exact same group. Yeah. And so, and I see that today. I see that with in-grouping. I see that with certain teams, certain ways to think about the world. So the Constitution provides a barrier against that. And it was a bunch of 20-year-olds.
That's what's amazing, isn't it?
That set out and they're like, we will die. We will die before we are indentured to these systems of corruption.
Yeah.
Like we will die and our whole families will die.
Yeah.
Say we won't. We will. And so they wrote this thing down and is it perfect? Absolutely not. It's as close to perfection as we can get outside of our scriptures. But it takes discernment. It takes understanding. You have to unpack. This is why we have the Supreme Court, and this is why we have the legislation branch, and this is why we have the executive, because it takes these three things in combination. In our county governments, we have our judicial branch, and we have our legislation branch and the county commissioner, and we have our executive branch, literally used to be called the executive branch. So, and there's this balance between those powers. And I think that's very, very important for us to retain that. We live in a time in 2026 right now in an era where we want to suspend the Constitution when it's in our favor. We want to suspend the rule of the land when it's favorable to us.
Do we know?
That's exhausting.
Do we know? Do people know? And I don't mean politicians. Do people know what the Constitution says or have a concept of those things, those inalienable things that you described? Is it really self-evident?
Right. I think so, but I don't think historically that it's always been self-evident. I think there was a change in humanity, and I really honestly believe that change was 2,000 years ago. If you just look at a historical lens of how societies were built and operated, and then how societies were built and operated after that event 2,000 years ago, they're very, very different things. They're very, very different things. It's almost as if that guy was telling the truth.
Yeah.
That the world itself would change, that the barrier between heaven and earth would break apart, and that we would all have these things. We are all made in his image. We are all made to have freedom and liberty and justice and all of these things, right? Because the first Christians, they all died for this. They brutal, horrible ways for hundreds of years by the tens of thousands. This was not on Sunday we'll go, and then afterwards we'll go to the Mexican restaurant and we'll have our little robot bring us our cheese dip and
queso, please.
Yeah, right. Yeah, queso, extra queso. Thank you. But these folks were committed to the exercise of these ideals. The same with the American revolutionists. They were committed to the exercise of these ideals and death. They were willing to accept death. So anytime anyone's willing to accept death over a compromise of ideas, you should probably pay attention to those ideas.
Yeah.
They're pretty powerful ideas.
That's a hill to die on.
Literally.
They're dying on.
Yeah, literally, in a very literal sense. So the Constitution, and that's what I tell people that do have, and do want to put their brothers and sisters in boxes is to say, hey, listen, we have this thing that nowhere else has. And it's been copied, of course, and successfully in other parts of the world. But we were the first 250 years ago. We were the first.
Yeah. 250 years ago this year. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and what was written then is still as important then as it is today. Yeah. And has the United States changed? Of course. Have we had to change the Constitution? Of course. But there are things within that Constitution that will not change and not bend and not be able. And the First Amendment is literally, you can put it in the form of the name of your podcast.
Mm-hmm.
That the most important is that we have the ability to speak.
Yeah.
To have a voice. We will have that voice in religion. We can have that voice in, there's all in press, and what the First Amendment makes a list, right? Of where we can have that voice.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's a time when we can't have that voice, well, we have the Second Amendment.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got
a backup plan.
Yeah, we got a big stick to back it up.
Yeah, we've got a backup plan. So
how I'm coming back around to this transparency.
Sure.
Because you are and have been transparent today.
Thank you. I've tried. That was my one goal, was to just be honest and real and not be stodgy.
This podcast, and you acknowledge something that hit right on the head. I don't have a goal. I have a platform, and I want to learn from people, and I want to hear the truth from people, and I want people to tell me their truth and who they are.
Right.
And you've certainly been a transparent guest today.
Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity, providing the space, for prying out of me things that I keep pretty close to my heart. Thank you. I've enjoyed this. I really have.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it, and I'm grateful that you were here. And I'm going to definitely have to have you back on, because people need to hear about being trapped in an elevator in church. That's a great story. And we'll have to get you back on to.
Absolutely, anytime. And I look forward to seeing this and watching this. I'll probably go home tonight and critique the things that I said to make sure that I was living up to the standard that I want to present.
Yeah.
To the standard that's in my heart. To make sure that I was doing what's in here justice. And I wasn't a coward.
Yeah.
And I was able to be honest.
You were honest.
Thank you.
Word.
Thank you.
Thank you, babe.
Absolutely.